What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Grayson here from Straw Hat. Oh, hold up, wrong channel. Let me restart this. All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Grayson here from Profit. Today, we're going to be reacting to Brian from PokeNE's video where he called me out, and we'll talk about what he said, everything. It's going to be a little bit ranty, maybe a little bit of a monologue towards the end of the video. If you guys are curious too, the SVR updates, it's like half done. I'll finish it after recording this, but I wanted to get the video out first. But before we get into what I want to say, let's listen to what Brian had to say here to begin with.
At that point would have panic sold all of their inventory to go put it into Yu-Gi-Oh! Or One Piece or Ethereum, whatever the bullshit thing is of the day. A lot of the Poketubers are going to either quit posting or they're going to pivot. They're going to pull a Poke Profit and start a whole new YouTube channel centered around Yu-Gi-Oh! Or One Piece or MetaZoo, Meta2, whatever the new thing is. They'll pivot or they'll disappear.
So Brian's talking about what's going to happen basically when Pokemon is kind of in a lull like it is now. He's saying that when that happens again in the future, a lot of Poketubers are going to stop posting. They're going to go on to the next thing, the next bullshit thing, whatever, One Piece, whatever it's going to be, right? And he says that I pivoted, which again, like I definitely opened a second channel. I started posting on it. The one thing that kind of bugs me about what Brian said is that, first of all, he kind of portrays it in a way that pivoting is bad, which I don't necessarily agree with. I mean, Brian himself has actually pivoted on his YouTube channel. He even openly said it, right? He stopped talking about business content for a while last year just because it was kind of in bad taste, right? Where it was difficult for a lot of people to actually get inventory. So for him, I mean, it was a business decision that obviously worked out very well. Same thing for me, right? I went over to One Piece, and we'll get into this later on in the video, because I saw opportunity. So for me, I don't think that it was a bad decision. At the same time, I also didn't do it when Pokemon was in a lull. I started my second channel, I started posting, I started investing in April of 2025, which I know, Brian, you were around during April of 2025. I think that was probably a fairly busy time for you. So it wasn't me leaving kind of when things were in a lull. I left before that happened. So that's kind of the first thing that I disagree with. But let's listen to a couple other things that Brian says. And at the end of the video, we will give him his flowers because he does say some things that I actually agree with in this video.
While the complainy bitchy vendors are ditching their distributors for other things, and while the Poketubers are disappearing, the smart people, the smart money, the big pockets, and the people who have a crystal ball, because we do, by the way, we do have a crystal ball, some of us.
So you guys do have a crystal ball, hey? Okay, interesting. But if you had a crystal ball, maybe it just doesn't work for One Piece, because you'd think if you could see the future, it might have made sense to buy OP09 at like $200 or less for all of 2025, and then 2x, 3x your money in 90 days. Seems like if you had a crystal ball, that would be something you'd want to do, right? Same thing with OP13. I don't know, you could have been pre-ordering this probably at like $120 from your distro, maybe even less, and 4x in your money in 60 days. I don't know. I feel like if you had a crystal ball, might be something that you'd actually want to do. But before we get into things a little bit deeper, just one more thing Brian says that I want to touch on.
We'll have more warehouses. Catch 'em All Collectibles will have all his pallets and his buckets full. Nostalgianomics will have his closet. Have a closet, have a closet, have a closet in a mansion. We're all going to have all that stuff. And people in 2030 are going to look at us and go, huh, must be nice. Must be nice having daddy money. Wow, someone got lucky. Wow, looks like scalpers are here again.
So Brian goes on about, how when Pokemon's in a lull, the people who are here for the long term are going to be buying everything up, right? And he talks about how he did this with Paradox Rift. And this is where I actually want to give Brian his flowers. He is 100% correct. There will come a time again where things are cheap and people don't want to buy them because they can't make money on them. And there will be a select few people who have the money on hand, who just buy, they hold. They hate buying because, again, they can't make money, but they know that over the long run, it's going to pay off. So It's kind of just one of those things where he's talking about denying short-term gratification for the long term. And I entirely agree with Brian. There will be people like him that succeed in 2035 or 2042 whenever the next big set comes out. So I agree with him on that. But the one thing that, if you watch the whole video, and I'll link it in the description, you guys can go take a look, because I don't want to take anything out of context. He says a lot, people like us. People like us. And I think he's referring to himself, Nostalgianomics, Rudy, Dan from Catch 'em All Collectibles, I think he mentions in the video as well. It's something that really bothers me about the Poketuber universe, I'd say, is that even though there's a ton of people in this space, it's actually quite small. It's really close-knit, and it actually almost reminds me of high school, where they're kind of like the cool kids, right? And everyone wants to be like the cool kids, so they'll all listen to a select few people, let's say, on YouTube. And if you post anything that's kind of against the grain, right? Everyone kind of thinks you're crazy, they'll call you stupid, etc. I made multiple videos in the middle of 2025 on the Poke Profit channel. You can go back and look, talking about One Piece. I actually predicted that in the short term, One Piece was going to outperform Pokemon. And not a single person ever asked me why. They didn't listen to a thing I said in the video. I never got a DM from someone going, "Why do you think this, Grayson? Why do you believe that One Piece is actually going to outperform Pokemon?" And if those people would have taken an hour of their time, maybe less, 30 minutes, they would have figured out that there were top tier booster boxes coming out that were sub $200 that had a top 10 set value basically equivalent to Evolving Skies or more than Evolving Skies. And it's not like these manga cards are insanely difficult to pull, and that's why they're so expensive. I mean, the Gold Roger, maybe it's a little bit more difficult. Same thing with the red mangas from OP13. But normally, I think people agree in the One Piece space that pulling a manga is about 1 in 3 cases, maybe 1 in 4 cases. So even if you want to go conservative and say it's 1 in 4 cases, that comes out to about 1 in 1,152 packs, which when you compare that to something like Evolving Skies, the Moonbryon pull rate, most people would agree, is about 1 in 1,994, almost 1 in 2K. A lot of these V cards, they're 1 in 1,000. So there's very comparable pull rates between the manga cards in One Piece, which at the time were kind of like the main chase cards that you could pull. The SPs have obviously rose over the past few months, but it was obvious that these booster boxes had clear value there. And a lot of people in the Pokemon space, their whole philosophy about investing in Pokemon, especially sealed product, is that over time, a lot of it's going to get ripped. There's going to be less of it out there. And then my boxes are going to be more expensive because there's less of them in the world. The same concept applies to One Piece. And especially with One Piece and some of these sets, like the PRBO 1s, like the EBO 2s, Bandai only does one print run, and their print runs are tiny compared to Pokemon, minuscule compared to what Pokemon is actually doing. So within an hour of research, anybody could have figured this out, because that's what I found after an hour, is like, okay, some of these top sets, there's just way too much value here for these boxes to be $200. It just does not make sense. But because everything has basically tripled in 60 days, everyone's calling it a bubble, right? And I think if you go back to Brian's original video talking about One Piece, and maybe this wasn't the original, I know he has older stuff talking about One Piece, but this was a month ago that kind of sparked things. Blunts actually says it best here, which is, guy with net worth in Pokemon thinks One Piece is a bubble. And I will say, and anyone who's in the One Piece space, you probably know who Blunts is. The guy has a very large position in One Piece, so there's clearly some bias there. Same thing with Gerald, leaving a comment down below. Like, people are going to go back and forth, right? Because they have their own biases. But I think I actually have a fairly unique take on what's going on, just because I do have the One Piece channel. I'm obviously putting content out there. I am bullish on One Piece and I am invested, but the vast majority of my portfolio is still in Pokemon. So with all that said, let me tell you guys what I know and what I think is going to happen with One Piece. And I know some people are going to say, Grayson, you're a small fry, you don't know anything. I knew that the Red Bull promotion was coming. If you guys don't believe me, just go watch the live stream with Gerald, go watch the last 5 minutes, look at what I say. I actually know some things in One Piece, and that's because the people in One Piece will actually give you the opportunity. Whereas in Pokemon and Poketuber universe, whatever you want to call it, it's very close knit. They really don't let anyone in. That's kind of outside the main characters, let's say, main influences on the platform. In Pokemon, obviously a lot of it is merit based, which is absolutely fine. But in One Piece, I mean, people were willing to give me a chance. I would reach out to people, they would actually respond. I know, shocker, people that had channels 3, 4, 5 times the size of mine, whether it was, Instagram or something else, right? There really aren't too many One Piece investors, but people are willing to talk to you and people know things and they're willing to share it as long as you respect that knowledge. And I'll say that a lot of people right now, especially in the Poketuber space, have absolutely no clue what's coming for Bandai, what they're planning. And I'll just say that Bandai is doing a lot of things behind the scene and they have a plan in place to continue growing the IP in the West, and it's ultimately going to lead to much larger things down the road. So I think people looking at One Piece right now, where the TCG is at, I wouldn't be surprised if it's much larger in the next 5 years. So with all that said, obviously you can invest accordingly, but I think a lot of what Brian says about One Piece is actually true, which even if you go back to his original video and watch this, and I'll try and link this as well if I remember, a lot of what he says is actually kind of correct. I don't know if One Piece is going to be around in, let's say, 20 years, the TCG. I think that eventually, once the story ends, you are going to have a generation of people who will probably be interested in it, and Bandai can probably continue pumping out sets. And if they do spin-offs, Naruto got Shippuden, I know that's a different brand or whatever. Pokemon, I mean, they continue doing things. So if Bandai wants to do spin-offs and continue the story, there's probably a way for them to continue growing the TCG. But if they decide to end the story and do nothing else afterwards, there is going to be a limited amount of time, in my opinion, that the game can succeed. Now, I don't think that that is going to be an issue over the next 10 years. And I think in the next 10 years, people invested in One Piece, especially right now, you're probably going to make a decent amount of money. And the really exciting thing about One Piece, which nobody really talks about right now, is that One Piece really hasn't even entered the rip and ship culture. Everything is still dominated by Pokemon, Evolving Skies, Destined Rivals, Prismatic Evolutions. People are spending $10 plus. I mean, Evolving Skies, what are people paying on a rip and ship? Probably $50 a pack, something like that to open. I mean, you can open this and that's great. You can chase your Moonbryons, you can chase your God packs, but you could spend less money and try and chase a Manga God pack in PRBO 1. You could spend probably the equivalent amount of money as Prismatic or something, maybe a little bit more actually at this point. These boxes are $500. But point being, you could try and chase $25,000, $30,000 of value in the top 10 cards. And there's a God pack as well in something like OP13. I mean, there's so many great sets that you can open. The cards are amazing. People who have actually opened cards and seen them in person, seen a manga, seen a lot of the SPs. The texture is beautiful. 90% of the cards on average come out as 10s, so it's not like it's going to be insanely off-centered. It's not like you're going to have a miscut. The card quality is far and away better than anything you see in Pokemon. And the other thing too is that if you actually paid attention and you looked at metrics outside of just graphs on TCG Player, a lot of people saw this coming. I mean, for me, early on in 2025, when I was selling some Pokemon stuff, I was talking to the people in my community that I sold to, and they were telling me that Pokemon was getting too expensive. They couldn't open it anymore. They were going to go to One Piece. And then, hey, I started opening One Piece. It's great. I actually prefer this. I'm the same way. I actually prefer opening One Piece cards now. Outside of that, go look at the growth of the subreddit, how many actual people are contributing on a weekly basis. Like, there was clear demand, and that demand was growing. And it was only a matter of time before things started to take off. And the thing that really frustrates me about a lot of the Poketubers is they don't actually add any context to what's happened in One Piece over the past, I'd say, 18 months, even the past 12 months, right? Like, there was growth on pretty much every box over 2025 before we got to the boom. So, for example, OPO9, this was sub $140 in January of last year. Before the boom, we're talking about a box that was $240. That's pretty good growth in a year on a booster box, right? Even before the boom, like if that didn't happen, I would have been happy with that. But the problem is that just because the past 90 days have happened, everybody's calling it a bubble now. Everyone's saying it's not sustainable. Everyone's also trying to just discredit anyone who invested in the TCG. And the reality is, if you actually were curious, if you actually tried to educate yourself and go out on a limb and just do a couple hours of research to really tap into a different market, you all would have came to the same conclusion that I came to. That's just the reality. Like pretty much anyone that I've talked to, it was a very obvious choice to at least have some exposure to One Piece. Now, I still am much heavier in Pokemon because I think in the long term, Pokemon's probably still positioned better than One Piece. And honestly, I know Brian in his video, he brings up Yu-Gi-Oh all the time, which I don't really know his fascination with Yu-Gi-Oh. I don't think anyone investing in One Piece actually believes in Yu-Gi-Oh, by the way. It's kind of just like this narrative that Brian and maybe a couple other people on Poketube are actually pushing. I think there are other games that could compete much better than even One Piece in the future. One of those potentially being Riftbound. Now, full disclosure, I only have one box of Origins, and I'm not planning to buy any more Riftbound at this point. There's some things that I want to see play out, but I've been talking to a couple people, and it seems like Riot really does have a plan with what they're doing. They have the universe where they could make this into something that is sustainable just outside of the League of Legends sphere, if that makes sense. Obviously, it's going to come down to what they do with the game, how they view collectors, what they do with their cards. I've talked to some people that say the card quality isn't the best. So there's lots of variables that could change with a game like Riftbound. But I think just when you look at the macro and TCG investing, which most people watching this video, you probably are invested in other games, not just Pokemon. If you're only in Pokemon, fine, whatever. But I think in the macro TCG investing, there's going to be other players at this point. You just have to accept that. And because someone does very well in something that isn't Pokemon, doesn't make it bullshit. So that's really the main issues that I had with what Brian said. But I do think he's entirely right when he says you just shouldn't be chasing the new shiny thing, and that when things are in a lull and people aren't buying, that's probably going to be the best time. So right now, if you're buying OP09 at $650, there might still be decent value here in the long term, but something like Destined Rivals, I mean, I heard we're getting more booster bundles or something coming to market. That could be a decent time to buy. A month ago, buying Sword and Shield, Evolving Skies, Fusion, Lost Origin, that was a no-brainer. Same thing with Paldean Fates. I mean, those ETBs were back down to like $230. The bundles were sub $1,000 again for the displays. So there were so many buying opportunities when no one was paying attention. And that's kind of what I did with One Piece. Nobody was paying attention to it, so I put funds there. But now that everyone's paying attention to One Piece, I'm not really buying that much, guys, honestly. So to wrap things up, obviously, try and have a little bit of nuance. Don't be afraid to learn. Don't be afraid to admit when you make mistakes and you call things that are incorrect, just because it happens to everyone, right? I get things wrong all the time. I'm at a point now where if I make a mistake, I try and admit it on the channel and just have full transparency, because I think that's important. It's a lot better, in my opinion, than making a series of videos over the following months just trying to justify my opinion and do mental gymnastics. So with all that said, thank you guys so much for watching the video. Stay safe wherever you are in the world, and I'll catch you in the next one.